Verse 1. Be followers of me, even as I am of Messiah. Okay, so Paul starts off by saying, as long as I'm following Messiah, follow me. This is what he's telling the Corinthians. Because he knows within himself that he's going to be following the Father, but yet he's a man. And if he begins to err, keep your eyes on Messiah. Okay? Verse 2. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I have delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Mashiach is Elohim. Okay? Paul gives a clear picture of how that order works. Here on top is Ein Sof. This is Yah by himself, the eternal one, who always is, always was, always will be. Underneath Yah is his son, the word, Yahusha. Underneath Yahusha is man, Ish. And underneath man is woman, Isha. Okay? The heavenly order begins with Yah, and the order of the nation of Yisrael begins in our homes, and it begins with the men. Let's read 1 Timothy, and we're going to go to chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 13 and 14. And the scripture reads, For Adam was first formed, then Hawa. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman was deceived. But the woman being deceived was in transgression. Okay? This is why Adam is first. Because Hawa, she's the one that sinned. Actually, she was deceived because she went away. Okay? Now we can make the connection of why we need to press against and cling to and surround our husbands, because when we are out from their protection, there are things that can happen to us that we're not always prepared to deal with, just like Hawa. You know, let's not read these stories in these scriptures and just think it happened to this one person or to these people and that it no longer applies to us. Okay, these things apply to our daily life. You know, we can still be Hawa. We can still do things contrary to Yah and bring destruction and consequences to our homes. How? By moving away from our heads. Okay, and I ask this question just for self-reflection. You know, Nashim, have you left your post? Have you left your place? Keeping in mind that when we remove ourselves from the position Yah has put us, that we open up ourselves to be attacked by the enemy. Okay, we want to keep that in mind. So let's take a look at the responsibilities of Adam. Because if he is our head, we want to understand what it is that he's being called to do. Once we can understand, we can be more supportive and better helpmeet to him and better meet his needs, because every husband is different, but the job he has is the same, but we have to be wise to know what it is. Okay, so we can be an asset to them and never a hindrance. The first thing we see from Bereshit, that the job of the husband or the job of that man is to give the word of Yah to his wife unadulterated. Paul wrote in the Brit HaKodeshah that a woman's supposed to learn in silence in the camp during worship. That if she has a question, she asks her own husband. Okay, we have to ask ourselves, where's Paul getting this from? Where's Paul pulling this from? Because Paul is not writing anything new. Paul was a devout, zealot believer in the Torah. He was a zealot Yahudi. He knew the Torah. He sat under Rabbi Gamaliel. He knew the ways. This is the wisdom and the knowledge that Paul is pulling from when he said that we're supposed to learn from our own husbands. Because Yah told Adam something. Let's take a look at what Adam was told before I go too far ahead of myself. We're going to go back to Bereshit chapter 2, and we're going to go to verse 16 and 17. Remembering the thought that the first job of Adam is to give the word of Yah to his wife, to his family, unadulterated. Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, "Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it. For in the day that you eat thereof you shall surely die." He starts off by telling him what he can do, and one thing he refrains from him. But let's hear what Hawa told the serpent. We're going to go to chapter 3, and we're going to read verse 2 and 3. And it says, "And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die." Now, do we see a difference in those two things, those two verses, those two chapters, chapter 2 from chapter 3? Chapter 2, Yah told Adam not to eat of that fruit. In chapter 3, however, we have Hawa telling the serpent that not only can she not eat of it, but now she cannot touch it. That is what we call a fence. A fence is a protective commandment, for lack of a better word. Meaning, well, if I don't want you to commit sin A, I'm going to give you another command that's going to prevent A from ever happening. So in other words, if Hawa is told that she can't touch the tree, then that means obviously she can't eat the tree. You see, Adam added to what Yah told Hawa, and we have to assume that Adam added to the word when it was told to Hawa, because Hawa wasn't there. How would she have known that she cannot eat of the tree? Okay, at this time there was no sin, there was no fall. She did what she was told. But Adam now wanted to protect her from committing this. Is it possible that she added this herself? That's a possibility. But at the same time, that is not what was told. And because this was interjected, it now gave the adversary room to deceive her. Okay? When we think about the Torah, when Moshe was relaying the Torah, or when Elohim called Moshe, Yah will always say to the sons of Yisrael. Okay? It has been translated in the scriptures in the English as say to the children of Yisrael, but in the Hebrew it literally say to the sons of Yisrael. Well, we can't imply that that means that only the sons of Yisrael is supposed to obey the Torah. I don't think my husband would find it very peaceably in this house if he were the only one keeping Torah while I did what I wanted to do because Yah told it to the sons. Remember when we talked about the order of transmission. The sons of Yisrael were given the word. Okay, they were part of that transmission. They then brought back the word to the camps, to their homes, to their families, and relayed to them what they were told by the elders, by Moshe. Remembering that Moshe is receiving this from the word, from Yah.